The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. This is the testimony of John. When the Jews from Jerusalem sent priests and Levites to him to ask him, "Who are you?" he admitted and did not deny it, but admitted, "I am not the Christ." So they asked him, "What are you then? Are you Elijah?" And he said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." So they said to him, "Who are you, so we can give an answer to those who sent us? What do you have to say for yourself?" He said, "I am the voice of one crying out in the desert, 'Make straight the way of the Lord,' as Isaiah the prophet said." Some Pharisees were also sent, and they asked him, "Why then do you baptize if you are not the Christ or Elijah or the prophet?" John answered him, "I baptize with water, but there is one among you whom you do not recognize, the one whom is coming after me, whose sandal I am not worthy to untie." This happened in Bethany across the Jordan, where John was baptizing. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the saints we celebrate today, St. Basil and St. Gregory the Nazianz, and these guys are, like I say, they're early church fathers. I don't even know what decade, it's pretty early. But it's really beautiful. We read part of their readings today in the office of readings, and two things that stand out in that to me is one, they met when they went to study. They were both in like the university or something, so they met there and they instantly kind of became super close friends. And they used each other's encouragement and to help them to grow in virtue. And at the end of this little reading, we said, all they desired is that people would come to know them as Christians. And like, man, that's just powerful. Like their one desire was that when people saw them, they knew they were Christians. That's powerful. So I mean, you got little things like today where that kind of complements in our first reading. St. John would say, hey, who is the liar? The liar is the one who denies that Jesus is the Christ. Okay, so that might be what you call the opposite of a Christian. Okay, someone who says he's not the Christ. Okay, but we are called to be Christians, and that people could recognize Christ in us. Okay, one other thing in their little bio that's really beautiful is how they just had this tight friendship, and how it was kind of the iron sharpens iron, and how the two fires in their heart, created this flame of love. And it just reminds me of the idea that, hey, there's no lone Christian. Like, that's just not a thing. To be a Christian means to be part of the body, the church, the body of Christ, right? And that's not just because. It's so that we can feed off of each other, so that our fire can stay stoked. If you take a log out of a fire, it just dies out. But with the other logs, it's a flame, right? So that's why we gather like we do today. I mean, it's the day after the first of the year, and we're all here. We're all here to celebrate Mass. And this communal aspect feeds each other's fire. It's important. That's what it means to be a Christian. So there's no such thing as a lone Christian, okay? We're part of the body of Christ, the communion of saints. So guys like St. Basil, St. Gregory, they're here with us. Their fire stokes our fire. It's a beautiful thing, so we want to keep that up. That's how we are Christians, by practicing following Christ as a body, but then that's also how the world will recognize that we are Christians because of the fire within us that's stoked as being part of this church. So it's a beautiful thing. May we continue to keep that on the forefront, that when others see us, may they see Christ.